A warm welcome and a very good evening to all. With immense pleasure, I welcome you all to the Corporate Connect on the topic being there for the consumer. It's a great opportunity for an agile brand to outshine the competition and achieve higher level of success. Companies who provide great customer services and customer satisfaction perform better than their competitors. Smart businesses know that every customer relationship is lost to a competitor or otherwise is going to cost them. Hence, it's important for the companies to ensure that consumers should fall in love with their brand or business. To have more discussion on the topic, we have with us Mr. Sivakumar. We welcome you, sir. I also welcome all the participants to today's session. Now, I request.
Yeah, Arun, you can start the speaker profile. I think
Okay, sir. Good evening, all. I'm here to share few words about the speaker of the day, Mr. Sivakumar Somanathan, Consumer Behavior Consultant. Siva has a 20 years of market experience across diverse product, service categories, and research methodologies. Over these years, he has helped clients to make better decisions at every stage of the product, innovation and design, brand and communication, and stakeholder management. He has worked with top agencies, Kantar and Nielsen, using traditional, regular consumer research approaches, and with new agencies, Kadence International and Big Blue Banyan, using tech-enabled consumer research approaches such as EEG, Neuro, facial imaging, eye tracking, and implicit association. He has worked across various product categories such as FMCG, automotive, political, social media, finance, retail, building and construction materials. Going beyond the market research data, he loves to understand the target audience through the lens of the consumer neuroscience, social psychology, and behavioral economics. His thought note can be found at medium.com at Shiva. Being a creative person, he unwinds by sketching and loves to travel to new place and meet new people. Astronomy is newfound love. Now I am request the speaker to take over the session. Thank you.
Shiva, over to you, Shiva.
Yeah, thank you, Arun.
Please.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, okay. Yeah. First, I would like to thank Dr. A.G.B. Narayanan for giving this opportunity to talk to such young minds. I have not done this in the past. Mostly my discussions are with corporates and clients, so not with students. So this is the first time doing it. Thanks, sir. And thanks for Professor Sriraman to following up and coordinating. Thanks, and thanks to Sindhura and Arun for the introduction and for the welcome. Thanks a lot. I'll start my discussion. What I'll do is I'll switch off my video because my internet is unstable. Just to be sure, I'm there. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. One. Okay. Okay. The topic what you see here is being there for the consumers and how strong brands have avoided the impact of COVID-19 during this pandemic. It's a topic what you're going to discuss now. And this is part of the Corporate Connect, what Dr. A.J.V. Narayan sir is doing for you. And I personally, as a person, feel a Corporate Connect should not only talk about topics, also give you a glimpse of what we do on the other aspects, what we are doing currently, how we do it, and why we do it. Also discuss with you before going into the main topic of being there for the consumer, so that you have a perspective of what I have been doing over these years in the corporate life. Okay. Okay. I'll talk about my industry experience and explain to you what I have been doing. I have around 20 years of market research experience. I understood from Professor Sriraman that market research is a subject what secondary students have already taken and you have done projects also on that one. I just want to understand what is the understanding of market research from your end. So if someone can let me know what is the understanding of market research, what was the experience in doing a project on that one, it will be great for me to understand what level the understanding is. And I don't need a textbook definition. A definition from your understanding will help me better. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Shiva, you
Any
are
second year
audible.
student can. I just wanted to understand the second year
Oh,
student,
right.
what
Yeah.
was the experience with market research course, and also as they have done projects on that one, what they have experienced from the point of view, rather than a textbook definition. If they can let me know what they experienced, what they felt about the course, what it is for, sort of thing, it will be helpful for me.
The students, you can come in. You have the access.
Okay, standard market research, we ask questions. That's what we do technically. And one thing what we tell all the respondents is there is no right or wrong answers. So there is no judgment over here also. So just want to understand what is your perspective of market research and what is the level of understanding currently. So please feel free. There is no right or wrong answer in this one.
Sir, the market research helps to know the current trend in the market, sir. What are the preference of the consumers? How their expectations changing over that period of time.
Okay, correct. And have you done a project in market research?
Sir,
Have you done a project, a survey or something in market research and presented a report or something?
no, sir. I have done in secondary data, sir. So,
Secondary data. Actually, secondary data is also part of market research technically. Okay. Research is not only surveys and second research, and will also come into the part of market research one. Okay, what we actually do is we help clients, that is corporates and brands, make decisions. That's what market researcher does. We help them make decisions by providing them data, information, and insights. That's what we do. So that's our role. And how do we do it? Is we ask questions. That's a good thing what we can do. So we can ask questions to people and understand them better. So that's what our role is. So this is our role, what we play over here. And I started my career as an industrial market researcher. Okay, I started in a company called Madras Consultancy Group. Industrial market research is something where our end client, the client services another industry, another corporate. So this is like chemical manufacturing company providing chemicals to another manufacturer of another goods or something. So this is what we understood initially: market feasibility studies, market estimation, potential studies, customer studies. Because the decision making in the industrial market is very different. So it's very rational financial aspects, and then only buy a product. So that's how it happens. When post that, what happened? I shifted into consumer market research. Okay. And consumer market research is direct opposite of it. A consumer is a different animal altogether. So he behaves differently in different points in condition, buying different categories. The consumers begin totally, and these decisions are mostly irrational also. And what I did was I was part of a team called Quantitative Market Research, and I used to work in TNS, which is now Kantar and Nielsen. Almost 12 years of my career in both these companies. And quantitative, as the name suggests, it's about numbers. So how many people buy your brand? How many people know your brand? How many people like your product is what a quantitative market research helps the clients to understand. It gives a perspective of how many percentage or how many what proportion of people like this one, and helps them to take a decision to cater to the largest segment or the most potential segment. Or if people are not satisfied with them, or a bulk number of people are not satisfied with the product, should they relook at the product? Those things comes into the quantitative market. I'll deal with the detail later also, but this is what we do. So what we technically do is we are like a diagnostic center for medical purpose sort of thing. Assume a corporate or a brand as a doctor and the customer as a patient. So the doctor wants the patient to be healthy and also lead a better quality of life by giving a product or a medicine to him. And to understand what he needs and what are the problems he's having, he need a diagnostic center, a X-ray or a fMRI or a scan. So that's what market research does. This is analogy I can give you to. So we help them diagnose what the consumer is facing and experiencing, so that the brands can cater to them in a better way is what we do. So that is the role of quantitative market research, what we used to do. And what happens, but in quantitative market research, we ask people. So we go them the questionnaire and we ask them, so what do you know about this brand? What do you know about this brand? How do you rate this brand? And those things. So consumers respond at a stated level. So they rationalize the response. They think about the response and give us a response to that one. It doesn't answer all the queries or all the understanding of the consumer mind over there. That was a problem what we faced in market research in the consumer perspective. There are multiple reasons why a consumer doesn't say the answer. First thing is he may not know that is the reason why he's buying it. For example, a person can buy a shampoo because he liked the packaging, but when we ask him why you bought the packaging, he will tell, I like the smell of the shampoo. I went there was a promotion on it, so I bought it. So reason may not be the true reason. He may not even know aware of the reason why he's buying it. So those things is one thing. Another thing is, even if he knows the reason, he may not be able to articulate the reason. The person may not be able to tell us clearly, this is the reason why I am buying this product, or this is the reason why I don't like this product. Another thing is, they may not be willing to tell the answer. So these problems were faced by the quantitative market research on a broad level. Traditionally, historically, that's one problem. But the data what we get in brand awareness are critical for decision making over there. So what I did was, post that I joined the new age companies like Kadence, and I started a company called Big Blue Banyan, so which were more into neuro consumer research. This is an evolved form of research where we use neuro equipments like EEG, electroencephalograph, to understand the brain waves, eye tracking, so where a person looks at a point in time, and also facial emotions. So what emotion is displayed on his face when he's interacting with a brand or advertisement, we find it out over there. So this gives me a perspective of what happens inside his brain and what he's looking, or how he's reacting to the brand without even is answering it. These are unstated responses. So this is not told by him. We are capturing a subconscious response and we correlate it with the quantitative response. So we ask him also why he's doing it, and we also see what he's doing internally in his brain and facial emotions, and map them and find the answers for the problem what you're facing is what I've been doing. And I was there for 5 years in this sort of industry. And the last 1 year, I have gone to the next level of behavioral science. So this is the initiative what I'm leading now, which ties in neuroscience, behavioral science, and psychology. Behavioral science is a science which believes that people are not rational. They make irrational decisions and things, and it uses psychology to understand why we do it. I'll give you an example of a study across all the three types of research what I have been doing, so that you get an understanding of what I have been doing. For example, we normally do an ad pre-testing. That is, before an ad is launched, advertisement is launched on the ground, companies test the ad because they spend a lot of money on media, because they have to pay the TV companies, Sun TV or even a Star World or something. They pay huge amounts of money to broadcast the ad. So they test the ad because the ad should be effective, and each second that is valuable. So they spend money on each second. So each second saved is the money for them. So they test ads. In a quantity, we show the ad to the respondent. The respondent sees that. Then we ask him, do you recall the brand? Whether the brand is influenced in his mind. Then we ask him, did he like the ad? What he didn't like? What he liked about that? And those questions. And he answers these questions. But we will not know exactly which point he liked, because even the respondent can't. Even if we see ad, we can't say what we like in a particular second of that. So that is a little bit of broad level, and decisions bit of broad level. Once neuro research came in, we will know at each second of that what was he looking at from the eye tracking, and what was his emotion running on his mind through the facial emotions. And we also know whether he was engaged. He was watching the ad and he was engaged, and he was understanding the ad from the brain waves. We record the brain waves. So we'll know everything. So each second we know what he is doing and why he is doing that. So then we can understand the ad and we can tell the company, this ad is not working because of this seconds. And you can remove the seconds to make the ad better, or this second is working better. People are paying more attention to this particular second. Retain it when you're going for edit and those things. That happens over here. But even this doesn't tell us why the person is paying attention. So that is one thing we face over here in this also. So that will be answered by the behavioral science part. For example, across neuro studies, what we have observed is when a person wearing a white coat comes in ad, either a doctor or an R&D scientist comes and presents something, people focus on that. So they pay more attention. They get alert over that at a point in time. So that happens across neuro studies. So every time we do a study with an ad for a shampoo where a doctor comes or a R&D scientist comes for a paint bomb, so people focus and get alert. So this was coming consistently. So we try to understand that is answered by social psychology and behavioral science. Why people pay more attention for a doctor is they think a person wearing a white coat subconsciously as a person who has authority and a person who is trustworthy, because we have been conditioned like that from a childhood. The doctor wears a white coat, a reputed expert or a scientist wears a white coat. That's how we have been conditioned. This across geography. These studies have been across the globe, and this has been found to be true. And so a person with authority demands automatically will pay obedience. So we'll try to listen to him. That's what happens. And there are studies. There's a study called Milgram experiment. So when you have a free time, you can Google it, MILGRAM, Milgram experiment. It's an old study, 1960s, 70s, social psychology study, which tells how we are behave obediently. So that's in social psychology. So we pay attention because of the white coat, and also we feel them they're trustworthy. So this gives credibility to the source. So this is a behavioral insight which we have got into that neuro consumer research. So when we try all these things, we have a better insight on how the consumer reacts for each and every profession, and we can cater the ads or any stimulus to the respondent or the consumer in a better way from the client perspective. That's what we have been doing. And these are the categories I have worked in: market research, quantitative research, consumer research, industrial market research, neuro behavioral science. But there are many more fields, as someone told me just now about secondary research. The secondary research is a huge domain where people are working over there. There is research separately for social work. Social research is there, where they do studies for NGOs, government initiatives on education, health measures, and even for COVID understanding, impact of government plans on farmers. That sort of research happens through social research. That is another form of research. Another research is pharma research. They do medical molecules, how consumers are interacting or doctors are prescribing. That is pharma research. There are multiple fields of market research over there, and these are the fields what I have worked and I have experienced in. And if you have any questions till this point, you can ask me. Any question is fine.
Students, you all have access. You can unmute.
Shiva, we can go ahead.
Okay. I will
Divitya, do you have any questions? Divitya?
No, sir. No, sir.
Right. Okay. Please go ahead, Shiva. Hello.
I will take it as they understood it, or and okay. Now what we are going to talk about is about brands. So brands predominantly we deal with consumer research. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah. It's audible, Shiva.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we deal with the brand. So to understand about what consumer research does and what are the types of content, I'll just have a couple of points over here. And can you tell me what the chart this is? What is this graph?
Students?
Sir, product list.
Make it louder, like Lokeshwaran.
Sir, product life
Okay, yeah, it's a product life cycle. I think next time Lokeshwaran shouldn't answer. He should be I attended last week's session. Students, I attended the last week's session also by Dr. Satyanarayana. And even then, Mr. Lokeshwaran was prominent over there. I remember the name, so I want people to answer and interact. So if we interact and we gain more knowledge in that way, that is one way we can gain knowledge. That's the only request. There is no right or wrong answer. I'm not going to evaluate or anything. Even I was like you when I was studying 20 years ago. So please answer. That is the only thing. I thought more interact. I know that you are listening and you are there. It gives me assurance that I'm not talking to a computer. That's the only thing. Okay. This is a product life cycle. Okay. And so it is also a brand life cycle technically. Once a product is launched, it is a brand. So post introduction, it becomes a brand over here. So this is what we in consumer research do is we try to help client or a brand in each point of the phase to deliver the product better. That's what we do. So we help them understand consumers and tell them this is what they need in each junction of the life cycle. So this is like same like if a brand them to grow. That's what we do. And only thing we ensure is they don't reach this decline stage. We try to avoid that death. That's what we do. That's what consumer research is about. And broadly, there are three approaches to consumer research. What we are doing, one is a qualitative approach, which means we deep dive, we sit and talk to the respondents, we discuss with them, understand the problem area or the understanding the perception, and in an unstructured way. There won't be any question or anything in this qualitative approach. It will be one-on-one discussions, or it will be group discussions, or it will be observations. We go to the house and observe how they are doing. For example, if I'm doing a study on washing soaps, for example, I go to the house and understand how they use the washing soap. So do they soak the cloth for 1 hour or 2 hours, or they soak it overnight? Because these inputs will be helpful for R&D of the client to design the product better. So we understand qualitative works like that. It's an in-depth understanding of the consumer. So because of its in-depthness, it can't be done in a large scale. So it will be among limited number of respondents, and it is not statistically valid. This will give us directions. Qualitative research will give us direction, but it will not tell us what is the size of the direction. Whereas a quantitative research, where I have experience in it, we give the how many. So we have a questionnaire over here. So we have a structured tool to gather data, and we do it among the statistically valid sample. So we do it among large sample, and this data is robust enough to tell them this is the size of the segment, or this is the amount of people who are aware of your product or not aware of your product. This is the size of the persons who like your product or like your competition, and they're willing to shift to you. And these are the things they need. So those things come from the quantitative research. That's what quantitative research does. And then the new age research, what I spoke about, EEG, the brain questions over there, eye tracking, all biometric. Everything is based on our biological data. So we capture biological data. There is also something called GSR, galvanic skin response, which captures the skin response to varying emotions. So it also captures emotions over there. And there is something called IAT. It's called implicit association test. Okay, what it does, it measures your response time, how fast you respond to a question, and calculates whether you are pro or against that particular concept what we are testing over there. There is a site called Project Implicit, PROJECT Project Implicit. It is a Harvard-run study. This was started to understand social biases, we have gender bias, we have racial discrimination biases. But people won't tell the answer they are biased, or they won't even know they are subconsciously biased. To understand that, IAT was developed, and it is now used in consumer research also. And you can go check Project Implicit. You can take the bias test yourself, understand this one. These are learning tools. It also gives us a learning tool, and this was developed by Indian. That is another thing what we should take to the Indian from Hyderabad. Has developed this tool over there. Her name is Mahzareen Banerjee. You can also see her YouTube videos on how she talks about our subconscious bias and how we can understand those things. That is over there. And these are the broad approaches how we understand consumers over there in the consumer research. And then what are the research areas? What type of researchers we do is another question what you may have in your mind. So these are the broad three areas. Each one has hundreds of studies inside one of them. Innovation and new product development happens in this product development stage. For example, if a client needs an idea, there is an ideation study. So if they have 10 ideas, we can shortlist the best idea and tell them this is the best idea you can proceed with. Once they develop the concept, we can have a concept testing. Or a product, once they develop a product, either as a photo or a prototype or a real product, we can test them. That happens in the innovation and new product development. Post that, we have a brand and once it is launched, we have brand and communication. The brand and communication also include deciding the brand name also. So clients sometimes test the brand name also. If the brand name, what they have in mind, stands for the message or the perception which they want to build in the category. So that also can be tested. Logo can be tested if it stands for what the brand stands for. That can be tested. Communications is all your ad and campaigns, what you do can be tested. That is, it can be tested before launch and fine-tuned. And after launch, we can find out whether the campaign is working, the communication is, or the ad is working. Are people seeing it? Are after seeing, they're able to recall the brand? Is the communication of the message clear to them? Those things come under brand and communication over there. So this is throughout the life cycle of the product. And stakeholder management, your satisfaction, loyalty, which will be among customers. We also do employee satisfaction, dealer satisfaction, vendor satisfaction. All those things will come into in the stakeholder management. And also we do something called corporate reputation studies for customers. So corporate reputation covers all the stakeholders like employees, vendors, dealers, retailers, even media houses, government, policymakers, NGOs, everything will be covered to understand what the brand as a corporate stands for. That is what. And another thing is this innovation and new product development doesn't stop here, doesn't stop at the product development. Once the brand is launched and growing, they may launch variants, they may launch new products under the umbrella. All those times, you can also do the new product development over there. So that is also new product development over there. And in this study, we'll be focusing on brands because our focus will be on brands. That's what we'll look at in the next slide. And any questions till this point? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll move on. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Please.
Okay. So coming to, so we are going to look at how brands overcame the COVID pandemic. That's what we are going to look at in this presentation. So before that, we need to understand what are the parameters a brand is evaluated on. So last week during a session, one of the students asked Dr. Satyanarayana, how do I know my brand is performing well? Or how do I know my activity has worked out? So you start doing something as it worked. So the answer was sales data was one of the answers what was given at the point in time. But there was Dr. Satyanarayana also told us that in pharma industry, for example, they make the dealer stock it, the distributor stock it.
Hello. Hello. Shiva. Shiraman, you are on mute.
Yeah, yes, sir. He's there, sir,
Yeah.
but it freezed, sir.
Shiva?
Just try to reach him, sir. Moment.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we are lost him, sir. I think he'll be joining back.
Okay.
Yeah, students, just to hold on. He's connecting. There is some technical glitch at his end.
Are you calling him?
I called him, sir. He's joining.
Right.
He's joining.
Sure, sir. Okay.
Sir has joined.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sorry for that. My internet got corrected.
No issues, sir. Sir, you will have to share your screen. Sir.
I'll share the screen. Yeah. At what point
Shiva,
was I lost? Yeah.
Shiva, bandwidth seems to be unstable, Shiva, at your end.
Yeah.
Frequently, the audio is getting lost frequently.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, you're better now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Switch off. I'll change the device. I connected. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, please. Thank you. And you
point
were talking about sales figure, internal sales.
Okay. So sales, what happens? Sales data is a company, what they send out of the system. So what sales teams do during month ends or a quarter ends is they push the stock to the distributor. So they ask the distributor to stock more of the product, not sell. They can't sell more. So they will stock and give a fudged data sort of thing, an inflated data of the sales. So companies, what they do is they look at other data also beyond the sales data. And also they would also want to know about how the competition is doing. That will not come from the sales data. For that, what they do is they get data from the retailer side of it. So how the retailer is. So for FMCG, Nielsen has a retailer audit. So they understand the retail offtake for each retail store. What was the initial stock in the month, and at the end of the month, what was the stock and how much stock they bought in between. So this gives them a number of product what has been sold in that particular month. And this data they capture at a brand wise, variant wise, SKU wise. or all the FMCG products in the country, and they do it across the country, and they have a census of all the retail outlets, and they sample a particular number of outlets, which are representative of the outlets, and then they project it to the universe. So at any given point in time, each company can buy this retail data from Nielsen, and they will know what is the volume of business, what is this competition doing, what is this product selling in market, which geographical location it is selling, what type of retail outlet is selling, whether it's a super modern format or a kirana store, or a grocery store, or a pan BD shop, or a pharmacy which is selling it, they can understand. That is the beauty of this retail audit. But this is only for FMCG categories, all the fast-moving goods. Similarly, for other industries, there are different data. For the pharma, there is the IMS audit. IMS set a pharma audit, so they can get that one. And for automotive, the SIAM, Society of Indian Automotive Manufacturers, has a data of collected every month on the sales data of cars across all the brands. So there are different data points for different industries to understand what is the sales data. That is another data what they use to evaluate the brand performance over there. But brand's performance is not only sales. A brand is more than sale, is what we believe and what also consumers buy. So that is why they need to understand how a brand health is. That is where consumers come into play. So consumers' brand health studies help them to understand how a brand is performing among the minds of the consumers. So these are the parameters, which are on the left-hand side is the parameters what we normally evaluate in a brand health study. So we go to consumers and ask these questions and find what is the position of brands in this parameter. This could be a face-to-face survey or an online survey. Currently, most of the studies are moving to online panels. Online panel is a thing where there are consumers or their consumer respondents are collated as an online level, and we send them mails and get the response from them. That is an online panel. So we do it in that way. And if you look at what are each of these parameters, for example, the first critical factor a brand should measure to know where it stands is the awareness. So are people aware of me in the market? Are my customers aware of me? So it could be the brand awareness or ad awareness. For example, if I'm putting an ad in the ad, for example, I'm advertising now. Are people aware of my ad? If people are not seeing my ad, then the ad money is wasted. So ad awareness is another thing. And this brand awareness is measured at 3 levels. One is I ask them, for example, let's take a category of paint bombs, for example. What are the brands you are aware of in the paint bomb category? We ask the respondent. The respondent says, for example, Zandu Bomb first, and then Amrudanjan and Tiger Bomb, for example. The first mention, what he says first when he asks the question, is the top of mind. This is the position. Dr. Satyendra told about positioning. This is the positioning where the minds of people, what all brands want to be. The first brand, top of mind, is what we call it top of mind. This is where all brands want to be presented. And then spontaneously, I told, without any aiding, I told them Amrudanjan and Tiger Bomb. These are spontaneous brands, recall brands over there. And then I give them a list of all the paint bombs in the category and tell them, have you seen this or heard about this brand? Then he says, I know this brand. Those are aided brands. A brand, if it wants to be in the purchase list of a consumer, should be in the top of mind or the spontaneous. That's the reason people advertise. That's the reason they push the brand so much in each and every point, from hoardings to bus shelters, everything they push it, because only if you're aware of the brand and you can recall the brand at the first level, you will buy the brand. Otherwise, you won't buy the brand in the FMCG category, especially. Even automotive, brand awareness critical over there. Then perception. Next point is perception. What I think about the brand. So what is my imagery, or what do I imagine about the brand is the perception part of it. It could be an emotional one. So I'll ask them, do you, example of a shampoo category, for example, it's a trustworthy brand. I love this brand. These are emotional connect with the brands. So do I rate the brand on these parameters or emotional imagery? And then functional is it gives me soft air, for example. This gives me fragrance. These are functional. So it's a functional benefit what the brand delivers. These are functional imagery of the brand over there. And does my brand own it is what I want to know. Or a competition owns it. If competition owns it, I should work on it. If this imagery or a perception is a driver for the category, if people buy shampoo for soft hair, for example, and I don't own it, my communications, my ads should talk about that, and I should own it. And then the final one is ingredients. Some of the brands talk about the ingredients, like it contains amla, henna, and those things. For automotive, it talks about features, for example. It has ABS, airbags, and those things. Those are the ingredients part of it. So imagery is not a single point data. It is multiple, it be 10, 15 points what we collect. But I have given it for illustrative purpose as a single bar over there. So that is just for illustration. This is the awareness will be 70% of the people are aware, and imagery is around 60%, for example. But image will be multi data points. There will be 10 statements. I have given this a single point for a ease of understanding. So going on, that will help you to understand. Disposition is whether I consider the brand is the how disposed I am towards the brand. Is it my favorite brand? Do I have intention to buy the brand? Comes the brand ITB's intention to buy comes in disposition or consideration. How open am I to the brand? Buying the brand is disposition. And then I can also capture purchase behavior. This is behavior actually. How do the consumer behave towards the brand? Does he purchase it? Depending upon the brand and category, this varies. We capture ever purchased. Last 1 year have they purchased, last 3 months, this is last 1 month, last 1 week, and most often used brand. These are we don't capture everything in a single question. Depending upon the category, some brands are bought only 3 months, or some brands are bought once in a month. So depending upon the category, we capture this level. This gives me how a person is buying the brand and what is the proportion of people buying in the target group I am meeting. And the last and the most important level is the advocacy, that is recommend. Do I recommend this brand to my friends and relatives? This is the question what we ask. If you buy something from Flipkart or something, you might have got a survey asking you to rate a recommendation on a 11-point scale rating from 0 to 10. That is called net promoter score. Some companies use only this recommend to understand where the brand stands. So they believe that recommendation is the peak of brand health. So if I'm recommending a brand, that means I'm entrenched and the loyal follower of the brand. I won't shift, and they want everyone to recommend the brand. So that is a critical one in a brand health study. So this is how brand health is measured broadly.
Shiva, can we have some questions in between?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. Shiva, you were talking about this retail offtake.
Yeah.
Am I right? And this is confined only to the FMCG industry, this Nielsen retail audit.
Nielsen they do some categories beyond FMCG, but they do they do for pens. They used to do for cycles, and they used to do for sanitary ware earlier.
Right. So predominantly FMCG.
FMCG, yeah.
Okay. And again, as you rightly pointed out, again, this is purely based on a sample. Am I right? Then they are getting it projected for the entire nation.
See, what they do is first they do periodic census of the retailers across the country, and these retailers are modern formats, mom and pop kirana stores, everyone, anyone which stocks 3 to 5 FMCG products, any SKU will be covered, and they have a database of this one. Using that, they will sample.
I think
Shiva, we lost you.
Yeah, so they do it on a month-out basis. They sample out of the census what they have done, and then they do this one survey and they project it to the universe.
Okay. And this is how the market share is also arrived at. Am I right?
Yeah, market share is based, FMCG market share are based on retail audit data. If Unilever sometimes claims I have shampoo category, Clinic Plus is number one, I have 60% market share.
That's
that
right.
Comes from
That's right.
retail audit.
Okay. But sometimes there is always a conflict. Say, for example, Pepsi and Coke, they always get into some kind of a conflict in terms of the market share.
See, Nielsen audit data market share. See, for example, some canteen offtakes will not be covered in retail audit. Coke cola sort of things is not only consumed in from the retailers. It's consumed from theaters. It is consumed from hotels. It is not a comp for FMCG. It's comprehensive. There may be some minor. For example, a chips packet may be bought in the theater. For example, that may not be covered in the survey. But minuscule in compared for an overall thing. So there will be some on and off things, but broadly this is the currency what industry uses.
Okay. So overall, this Nielsen retail audit data has been well accepted by the industry.
This is the only currency in the market for retail audit.
Oh, right. Okay. With reference to purchase, I mean, what does MOUB stand for? I missed it.
Most often used brand.
Most often used brand. Okay.
We love people brand usage. Some persons may have 2 or 3 shampoos, 2 or 3 hair oils or facial creams. Out of it, we capture which is the most often used brand among them, which gives us closeness to the brand, and it will be the most bought also.
Okay. Students, any questions? Otherwise, we can move on.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sir, you have told that nowadays the online surveys are emerging, and it was prevalent in COVID days. how it is effective from the offline surveys, sir?
Okay. See, online, offline. See, most of the FMCG, for example, surveys are among housewives. Decision makers still in India is just among the housewives. So we can't reach them online as of now. Most of the online panels available in India are SECA, that is upwardly mobile people in urban areas only are covered in the panel. But for FMCG sort of clients, they also need to cover rural. Rural or tier 1, tier 2 towns presence in online finance much lower. So traditionally studies have been going to on a face-to-face methodology. We go to field, we sample people out, and then we do surveys and capture data because those people are not present online. But post-COVID, what happened? We can't do that one because of social distancing and need for. So we have rationalized the study centers. We are focusing only on urban areas, and we are focusing only on female. See, in an online panel, typically 70% are male and 30% are only female in an online panel in India, any online panel. So most of the data is, or sometimes it's all skewed up to 80-20. And most of the decision maker housewives are not on online panel. So there is a compromise in going to panel. But for some other categories like e-commerce or where the male is the target group. So for example, if I'm doing some survey to understand Amazon brand health, online panel is the best way out. So I need not go to a person who is not present online. That is my universe. But for a normal FMCG sort of products, which also covers rural, housewives who are not on online on those things, that's a compromise we have to make, and we have to focus on the areas which can be covered in that one. It's still restrictive for us from the India perspective. Abroad, they are moved already. In India, they are working towards that aspect. See, there are a lot of aspects. Besides online, there are also mobile app-based surveys because most of them go to smartphone. So they can push surveys through mobile apps also. Those things are also there. But the response rates are much lower. If I push 100 surveys, I'll get a response for 2 to 5% of the surveys. So those problems are still increased. But the quality of response will be much better in an online panel because there is, see, whenever a person goes and asks a question, there is a bias from the interviewer. The interviewer way of, see, if I ask a question and you ask a question, there will be difference. And for example, if I ask a female, if you ask a male, there will be difference on the perception from both of sides. So those bias is called interviewer bias. So how we administers, what tone he uses, those bias are eliminated in the online panel. So online panel is direct data from the respondent. There is no bias of anything, no sampling bias, those things. It's better data qualitatively, but unfortunately, due to the representation, I can't represent the universe in that one as of now for certain categories. In that way, there's still a long way to go for us.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Good evening, sir. So I have a question.
Yeah,
Does sales executive in the retail store plays any significant role in consumer research?
The sales, consumer research and sales are totally different domains altogether. Sometimes we use them very, very rarely. If the client's control on a sales executive is much lower. So there will be multiple. See, the client side, we'll have a marketing team. In the marketing team, we'll have a market research manager over there whom we interact with, or a marketing team. But sales is entirely altogether another division over there. So we don't have major interaction with the sales team at all. They are totally different. Sometimes we may ask them to push surveys, but we can't control them.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
See, how this works is in a company, there are marketing teams under which brand CMI, which is the Consumer Market Intelligence team, comes into the play. And we as market researchers interact with them. Some companies, the market research team interacts, sometimes marketing team directly interacts with us, tells us the problem, and we try to resolve the problem. Sales is altogether a different entity in the system of the client, which is projected to push the product in the market. Marketing is to create a pull for the product. Sales is to create a push the product over there. So both are different entities. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, consumer research is predominantly done in metro cities?
Not really, ma. So see, online panel metro cities are predominant, but normally it is done in across the country. See, bulk of the products also cater to rural scenario or tier 1, tier 2 scenarios also. So we have to cover them also. So we do across country everywhere. And depends on the category also. Some categories are more urban related. Some categories are more focused on rural. So depends on the product category and the product. We do the research on the geography selected based on that.
But Shiva, doing market research in rural area, it has its own challenges. Am I right, Shiva?
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Okay. Normally what happens, for example, Tamil Nadu, for example, to take and do a rural study, most of the companies will have 2 field centers in Tamil Nadu, one in Chennai, one in Madurai. So these are the field offices what we have. And we may have field teams, which is not an office, which are teams across like Tiruchi, Coimbatore, Salem, Namakkal. We may have teams who are semi-trained teams over there. If there is a rural study, we are person from Madurai will travel to southern markets, person from Chennai will travel to northern markets, and then we brief the local teams. Or sometimes teams itself travel from Chennai and Madurai and do the study over there. So that is what we do. And actually, conducting survey is the difficulty in executing it, but administering a survey is much easier in rural areas. People are more open. You can ask them questions. But traveling and putting on a field from here, the expense of rural service slightly expensive because the field team has to travel over there.
Right.
So most of the surveys in Tamil Nadu will restrict themselves to Chennai and Madurai centers alone, and they will cover 100 kilometers from Chennai. That's how it happens.
Okay. When compared to urban audience, do you mean to say the rural audience is more open, more forthcoming? Am I right?
Yeah. Forthcoming also in urban areas. The problem what we have been facing in the face-to-face of not now, almost for 15-20 years is most of them are flats and apartments, so we can't gain entry into that one. So it is a huge segment which is critical and which is as an affluent segment which you have to cover, which we can't cover. You have to get permissions and those things and all. And city
Sir, I'm Lokeshwaran, sir.
Yeah, Lokesh.
Sir, as you said, the most of the respondents are unable to convey their respondent correctly because they don't know how to communicate. Whether this can be impacted new product development, sir, because the most of the new product development have been done after analyzing the market.
For example, you may remember the Ford quote. Henry Ford were developing a car. If he has gone and asked a consumer, what do you want? They would have told, I need a faster horse. So that is how consumer react. So new product development is not only from the consumer response of it. It is also looking at market trends. There is a market heading, and for time petroleum was gaining. So there is option for using petroleum as a fuel, energy supplement. The only energy earlier available was fodder. So the fuel they give us is fodder, and then petroleum was emerging. Technology, machinery for evolving. So engines have been invented at the point in time. So you have to look at the market trends, what is happening, innovations and those things for product development, and also consumers. If consumers totally averse to the product, then you should take a call. I have heard about studies when Bharati Airtel done studies for mobile penetration, and they found no takers for mobile at the point in time because of the expensive price for incoming calls also. So they told that mobile penetration will be very zilch. This is not a feasible project. But Sunil Mittal went ahead with it. No, this is not acceptable. So sometimes it's beyond consumer understanding. Consumer understanding is to understand nuances, how they will use it. What are the pain points consumer faces? The pain point for consumer for car is for travel and safer travel at this point in time, and more cheaper or easy to maintain travel at the point of entry for. Mobile communication is developing. India has been opened up. Economy was booming. Faster communication could have been a trigger what they could have seen for that. So we should look at other aspects also for a new product ideation and consumer side. We cannot developing a product only with consumer insights is very limited.
Sir, how do you evaluate the concept, sir? As you said, you will do concept testing.
Okay. See, what happened is first stage is ideation stage. Sometimes the client comes with ideas and we test out the ideas. It could be a qualitative study where we discuss this idea with the consumers. For example, Tata Nano, for example, I have done the concept test for Tata Nano in 2002, 2003. So we did a concept test. The client gave us a concept because the concept was ready with them. They know they are going to with a small car with a 1 lakh range is what they are planning, and what are the features they are going to give with it. So we made it into like a print ad. So normally you have print ads for which talks about the product, what are the features, what are the functions, and we show it to the consumers and ask them, do you like it? And we ask them, get the inputs from them. One of the things which came out strongly even at that point in time is safety and security while driving the car, because the car was small and the price point. Because the price gave a perception of the lower quality and those things, which we communicate to the client. But that was also one of the reasons why Tata Nano didn't pick up so much, the safety concerns among the people. Though the car was certified and those things, the concern on look of the car at the price point what they're operating, it gives it. So this type of insights may come. So clients may try to avoid that or cater to that. They can push more ads saying it's more sturdy. It is certified by the bodies which test for safety. Those things they can communicate and push it. That's how inputs for concepts come. Some concept people reject outright also. They don't even like the concept. Or some of them, they feel that may not suit their lifestyle at this point in time. So those inputs we share with the client. So that is how concept testing happens. Ideation, sometimes clients have 10, 15 ideas. We trial them to shortlist ideas depending upon the respondent's preference. Customers may prefer 1 or 2 ideas out of 10 ideas. So which is the most preferred idea, we can get back to them and inform them. That's how ideation and concept work. Post concept they do is a prototyping, or they make a photo or a drawing of the product, and we test it. We can test it all. Automotive differs extensively on testing. We have testing at each and every stage in automotive car development, from ideation to concept. There'll be photo clinics where we show photos. There'll be 3D clinics also where we develop 3D image, because production is very expensive. Then a non-moving prototype will be there. Then after the dynamic clinic will come, where they drive the car and check. So all this. So depending upon the industry, the testing varies and intensity of testing varies.
Siva?
Yeah.
Siva, was there any instance wherein the concept was completely rejected or outrightly rejected by the customers or the consumers, but subsequently the company took it up and the product has become so successful?
As I told earlier, maybe Henry Ford example and Bharati Airtel example.
Okay.
In my experience, I've not seen it much. Tata Nano, though the expression of concern was that people like the thing. So we talk, there is something called target group in our studies. We go to a focused target group. That is will buy this product. Tata Nano, we went to two-wheeler owners where 2 kids or 3 kids in the household sort of target group. So they wanted the car because current mode is even more unsafe for them. So that came up, and some of the I did a study for fruit chips.
Which one?
Fruit, pineapple chips.
Oh, right. Okay.
It is air fried chips out of pineapple. People didn't like it. So the client didn't launch it finally. And we done studies like sugar coated Bengal gram. Sugar coated. So people didn't like it. Kids didn't like it.
Okay. So at that stage itself,
they scratch it.
Right.
So when we give them the taste, they didn't like the taste of sugar coating, strawberry flavor, everything was there. So they didn't like it.
Right.
So people, because they have spent a lot of money in setting up equipments to manufacture it, market it, and then the failure happens, the loss will be much more for them. So if they stop at this stage, it's like a filter sort of thing.
Sometimes the concept may be ahead of time also. Am I right, Siva?
True. Like the Airtel example, mobile was ahead of the time. We didn't know the economy and the changes in telecom policy at this point in time and how prevalent it will become. So sometimes it happens,
Okay, right. Please, Siva, go ahead.
Sir?
Sindhura.
How consumer research and data science have been aligned? How they are aligned?
Data science, you mean big data mining and those things, Sindhura? Big data analytics sort of thing. See, we also do analytics and once we collect data, we use this data and do a lot of analytics. We do multivariate analysis, we do factor analysis to understand what imagery is clustered together. We do clustering to understand what are segments. For example, it is all grouping exercise actually. If I group consumers, for example, it's called segmentation. I segment them into different segments and I can target each segment differently. So that is clustering. We do a clustering analysis for that. If I group the factors, the imagery statements, it's called factor analysis. I group the factors and understand. For example, trustworthy can go along with safe ingredients, for example. So it will cluster. So which factor drives the brand more? So if I find out the trustworthy and good quality go together, I can focus more on good quality to push trustworthy. So those analysis we do. And in brand tracks, what I've been talking about brand tracks, normally brand tracks are not done as a one-off exercise. We do it every week. So it's a tracking exercise. We track the data or health of the brand across weeks for most FMCG brands. So there'll be huge amount of data. So we can do all the data science and big data analytics using those data in that one. So we use them. And there are a lot of other data from the client side, which we may not have access, which client does on their own. They will have a lot of sales data. They will have a lot of promotion activities, what they have done, and GRP data, what are the spends they have done. Those data, if they share it, we can do. Otherwise, they do it separately on their own. So we also use data science and big data.
Sir,
Yeah.
so what is the difference between consumer research and election research, sir?
I didn't get the last point of consumer research and
Election pool research.
okay. Okay. I have done lots of polls from Nielsen. Okay. The difference is consumer and a voter. That is the only difference. Each consumer is also a voter, but the sampling. So how we approach them, the questionnaire will change. The sampling pattern will change, and those things will change. Otherwise, broadly, we also do polling. So I have done a lot of polling in Tamil Nadu and also in Kerala. See, sampling for a poll will be totally different. I have to go in different level of sampling, and consumer research is totally different. The brand is different. And analysis of the data is also different because we have to also take into consideration the past voting pattern, calculate swings for this one, and then understand who will win. So that's how we do in a polling strategy.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
The polling, we sampling mostly starts in a ward level, and we go. Okay. In consumer research, we may not go to the depth of ward level analysis and those things and all. We do take it from a geographical distribution and do the sampling from there.
How do you look at the opinion poll survey, Shiva? Because sometimes it goes awry, sometimes.
Okay. Earlier, when I used to do earlier, we used to get more accurate data. Consumers used to convey the response more openly and without any bias. Of late, one of the last studies which I did was totally awfully wrong, actually. I think consumers don't say the truth nowadays, so they may not want to reveal it, depending upon the situation. What I feel.
Yeah.
And see, I've done around 6 to 7 studies. Almost 5 to 6 I have been bang on earlier stage. The last one was totally opposite because even we went to the field, we checked data, questionnaires, everything. But I think consumers' perception, awareness levels have gone up. They don't say the truth. So those things impact the service nowadays. But still, if you do it perfectly, and I spoke about IAT, implicit association test sometime back. In my last organization, I was trying to implement it for polling. That is, it captures the implicit association of the brand with the mind. So we are trying to implement in polling, but we didn't do a study on that one, which will capture subconscious level. He may say something, but if he is subconsciously biased towards a brand, or if he's for a brand or against a party in this case, we'll understand. So we were experimenting and piloting some of studies, but we didn't have an actual study in this case.
Right. So research per se is becoming more complex and complex. Am I right, Shiva?
True.
That is the reason you need to use so many techniques like IAT and so on and so forth. Okay.
See, first case is in the market research has been the same for almost many number of years. We have now only upgradation we had in the last 10 to 15 years is moving on to online panels, or moving on to using tablets or a laptop to capture the questionnaire instead of a pen and paper. So we used to have a pen and paper methodology. We moved to computer, where a laptop or a tablet be carried and administered, and then online pen. That was the only technological innovations what we did, but that was just a superficial one. It is only the administration tool, not the methodology.
Right.
So any industry to grow and be relevant to the day should have innovation, and it should use technology available. So that's the reason we are going to Neuro and or the eye tracking, facial, and all of them have limitations. Everything is not a perfect tool. It's not like a magical lens where we can find out what a consumer thinks. Everything has its pros and cons, and implementation cost to it. Everything is there. We have to find a best way. This what we used to say in research industries. If you give the same problem to different researchers, each will come out with a different proposal approach to solving the problem. It's like a doctor prescription. So I may prescribe something, another researcher who has different experience may prescribe something, and it's the best to them. And there are a lot of on-field difficulties, like field quality is a huge problem what we have been facing for years. How they administer question on the field, the interviewers and base last mile data collection. That's a huge issue what we face as an industry. Data quality is a problem. which we have been trying to rectify. We have stringent, if they're doing on a tablet, we capture where he is standing at the point of time in GPS, how many minutes or seconds he takes, it's recorded. How much time it asks for a single question he spends is recorded. So those at that level, we capture quality and control. That's what we do. We try to improve each and every stage. That's the ongoing process.
Please, Shiv, go ahead.
Sir, I'll just have one question, sir.
Yeah, please.
When I visit this Decathlon or Pantaloons, they try to take the feedback from us as consumer. Do they use these for their sales force effectiveness, or do they use these for any kind of research by aligning with companies like you?
Mostly they use, this is an internal survey which a Decathlon or a particular retail outlet does most of the time. So they do it on their own, and they use this data to understand the effectiveness of the particular outlet. So how effective the outlet is, and is the consumer walking into the shop happy when he leaves the shop, is the objective of this exercise mostly. Sometimes we also administer questionnaires through the outlets. Some studies, done studies for some retail outlets, so that we used to stand in outlets and understand consumers and do it. That will be a slightly longer question. It is a very short question. It's not from a market research company. We have love for long questionnaire, which is not effective. Okay. And that is another thing what we have been trying. See, always questionnaires, when you ask a person not more than 5-10 minutes, he has patience to answer something. So our questions should be to the point, sharp, and asking what is relevant. So whenever you are doing a survey, remember, this is for students, obviously. So whenever doing a survey, remember that. Ask the direct questions what you want to address in a way a consumer understands and answer it. So otherwise, the client also sometimes wants a lot of questions. We add unnecessary questions which may not be of any use or actionability in the end of it. So that's so these studies are mostly for the understanding the customer satisfaction at the particular shop. That is all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Finally, coming to the topic of how strong brands. Okay.
Good enough. It means you kindled the interest of the students. Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then. Okay. Okay. First, we all know that the pandemic has impacted the brands across the globe. Everywhere, brands have been impacted a lot. But what has happened is, the disruption, what has happened is not even for all the brands. Not all the brands suffered, and each brand suffered differently. Some are still experiencing the disruption, still to come out of it. Some have recovered quickly and they're back on the feet. Some have even gained over there. So this is depending on the profile. So what sort of brand it is, what product category. Some categories like travel, hospitality are still recovering. Some like laptops, mobiles are sprung up immediately. FMCG, in fact, gained technically. FMCG as a category. What customer profile they are targeting? It is a affluent customer or a daily wage earner is the target group. Those things impact retail channels. Most of them are moving towards online now, pushing online. Though the product is not an online sort of product, they're pushing for online because that is an accessible channel which was always there even during the pandemic. Size of the business, larger brands sustained and surveyed better than smaller brands. They grew also. And the geography, what market they're operating in, media channels, what they advertise. A lot of media channel disruption has happened. Some media have picked up a lot. TV has gained, OTT has gained. Some media have dropped. So those things. It's a premium product or mass. Premium products are the products which have suffered a lot during the COVID pandemic. So depending upon this, each brand has worked out differently. So not only category oriented, it's also brand oriented what you're speaking. So we'll try to understand how did the COVID pandemic impact the brand measures? We saw the brand measures like awareness and those things. So how did the COVID pandemic impact the brand measures is what we look at first. So this is what we saw earlier, salience, awareness of the brand, imagery, perception, the people consider the brand, what they purchase it and they recommend is what we saw. These brand measures are impacted by 5 factors what has been over there. So moving on, the first factor is supply side constraints. So once the COVID pandemic set in, there was lockdown and people are not going to the factories. The disruption in production and supply chain, and it impacted the distribution and availability of the product over there. This is the first constraint. And second was demand side constraint. It didn't only affect the supply side, the lockdown also affected the demand, that is the consumer side of it. So most of them lost job or Most of the shop owners or other people who ran small institutions or enterprises closed down. So there was a reduction in consumer purchase power and trading down happened. People started buying brands which are next level. So not the premium brands, they move on to, if I'm buying Sunrise Gold, Nescafe Gold, I move to Nescafe Sunrise. Or price sensitivity, more sensitive to price, and those things happen. And there was also a change in the channels of purchase. For example, a lot of mom and shop stores serviced, modern format stores are closed for longer. So the channel of purchase itself changed. Online became more active over there. And also the purchase behavior changed. Earlier, I used to buy once in 2 days vegetables and those things. Nowadays, I am buying once a week. I buy in stock. I buy larger packs of SKUs of FMCG products. So the purchase behavior also changed. This is a demand side consideration. So when there is a limited product availability due to the supply chain restriction and demand side due to the reduction in purchase power, the consideration and purchase changes. This pattern changes. See, for example, now I'll start considering another brand in the which for my brand is not available. So I'll consider another brand and I will buy that brand, another brand, not my brand now. And I may shift my current brand, which is more expensive, which used to be expensive, to another brand. So consideration of purchase is the first two aspects of the brand measure which got impacted in the pandemic for any brand. This is at a generic level I'm talking about. So because of this, there was a reduction in consideration and purchase. It went down over there. And the third impact was from the customer support level. So most of them had disruptions in the operations of call centers. I had a credit card issue during this point in time, and I tried to reach them and to rectify. It was not a typical issue of a credit card. It was a unique issue, and there was no IVR option for it. Well, there was only IVR, that is interactive voice response, recorded messages, and I was not able to resolve it. Even when I called the bank branch, they were not able to resolve it. So this sort of disruptions made us dissatisfied with the brand. So what is this sort of image was coming with that? And there are limited presence of service personnel for durables and automotive sort of thing. Servicing is an important key aspect. If something breaks down, AC repair is there, or my mobile crashes, I need a servicing personnel to be present. So that limited presence also impacted my perception of the brand. And non-availability of spares. Some of the spares were not available because of the lockdown and supply chain disruption over there. So this customer support constraint was one of the key things over there. And it impacted the perception, what I think about the brand and what I talk about the brand, the recommendation part of it. My credit card company, they resolved the problem after lockdown was over. But if someone has asked me about the credit card at the point in time, I would have told don't need to buy that particular brand over there. So this impacted both the imagery and perception part of it over there. It went down slightly for the brands over there. This is how the impact happened for the first three factors. And we go to the fourth factor, which is the communication PR constraints. What happens when the industry that is slow down? The first thing companies do is they cut the marketing budgets. So they cut the advertising budget, is what the companies do normally, because that is an expense for them in the mindset, because they have to spend to get the consumers in. So they'll go dark, that they call it going dark. That's not no advertising at all. But that is not an advisable act in such a point in time. So some companies stopped advertising, that is, or reduced advertising over that is the impact. And some of them had issues. They communicated the wrong message. They communicated offending messages, or they try to take advantage of the unfortunate. We would have seen a Kent ad for atta maker, where they told buy a bread maker from Kent. It's safer than using a maid. So they were showing that maid as a carrier as for coronavirus, and it had a huge backlash from the consumers. And they apologized and took the ad back. So they were trying to gain by showcasing don't use maid or and for kneading the bread or the batter, use a machine from them. So such sort of wrong advertising, taking advantage of situation were going on. And there was change in media channel consumption. There was huge change over there. People were watching more TV, and people download of OTT channels from Netflix to Amazon Prime to Hotstar was huge. So there was a huge jump in the consumption of OTT channel was happening. At the same point in time, print was going down. So newspapers, magazines, sales was going down. A lot of people even stopped subscribing to print magazines because of the fear of coronavirus. And also, FM radio in urban is a huge media channel which went down because most people used to listen while commuting, while traveling, driving, or traveling the bus. Used to listen to FM, and people stopped listening to that one. So there was change in media channel consumption also over the coming out over there. So this was the impact of communication, either no communication or wrong communication, or the channels what they used to advertise have changed a lot in the consumption. And the fifth factor is the new behavior factor. See what happens a person when a product is not, we saw the first two, supply constraint and demand constraint. Once it changes, a person buys a new brand, he has a high intent to stay in the current level, what he has changed. So 65% of the people on a survey told that they will stick on to the new behavior. If I change the brand for a particular product, I'll remain the new product itself. So a brand which lost 68% chances, it won't get it back. That was the one thing which came out in surveys. So that was another, that's the inertia. People don't want to move from the new changed behavior. And this was coming out as a fifth factor over there. So how does these two impact this? The brand, when the communication is not there, your awareness gets impacted. People, the top of mind recall or your spontaneous recall goes down. So your awareness drops. Once your awareness drops, everything starts dropping automatically. So people, your imagery will drop, your disposition will drop. And once a new behavior also steps in, people start using a new brand or something, everything will have an impact on across all the aspects of the brand. This is how a pandemic has impacted brands in the brand measure way. But this is assuming the brand which has not done anything on any of these factors. So most of the brands acted in one or two of them, or acted in almost all of them. But broadly, if a brand didn't act in any one of them, these are the impacts they would have faced during the pandemic. Is there any questions till this point?
Siva, one thing which we have noticed during this pandemic, irrespective of the product category, almost all the brands have started talking about anti-germ, antimicrobial, and so on and so forth. I mean, how do you look at this scenario, Siva? Because sometimes it is so annoying to see such a kind of a communication from the players. Shirt brand is talking about anti-germs.
Paint is talking about
anti-germ.
So that is,
okay. See, if Domex is continuing to speak about, we accept, because Domex is into that category. We understand. But invariably, all the brands, when they start talking about, people are getting annoyed.
That is the second point of communication. I think that offending or taking advantage. Unfortunately, see what nowadays what brands do is called a search word usage. What they do is what people search for the particular. I have also written a paper on it, a thought note. See the headache thought note.
Okay.
So people do that one. So once they start doing it, they should do it for a particular category. Paint should look from the category perspective. If they do it a general search word and all, obviously germ, fear of virus, contagious, these are the words which will come out drastically. So people are searching for these words. That means people are concentrating on those. If I put this word in my document, or people because we have a tendency to look at things what we are interested in. That is a bias humans are. So if I'm looking for for example, buying a car, I will see a lot of car ads. I'll notice lot. If I'm looking at buying a Honda City or a Honda Civic, I'll see a lot of Honda City or Honda Civic. I'll start picking up subconsciously. So they want to use this one to see that if persons are searching for virus, being germ protection and those things, let me give that to them. Let them see my ad. To get the attention. Another thing is, as per Maslow hierarchy, most of us, the fear, it has pushed us to the bottom two rungs: safety and security. So that is what we have been living during the pandemic. So we wanted to ensure safety of us and security of us. So focus on that and communicate. So that would have been a brief to the ad agency, and they would have formed a new thing and got it. Which is not advisable, but companies do that to get a short-term advantage.
Right.
And nowadays, consumers are more aware and intelligent. They find it out also.
That's right. Sometimes it may boomerang also. Am I right, Siva?
See, for example, KFC as a brand, they stopped using the word finger licking good across the world. It has been there for 64 years. So
exactly.
It's not suitable for the situation. I'll stop using it. And they're not communicating that now.
Yes.
So that's how brands should communicate. Okay. Now moving on. Is there any questions from the students?
Sir?
Yeah.
So when this COVID time, many brands of sanitizers came in the market, sir.
True.
So is there how is the acceptance from the consumers, sir?
Okay. One.
Just to put it in the lighter vein, Shiva, Pommies came out with the sanitizer brand. Pommies 90s.
I have a point on that. I will cover that, but I'll tell you about that one. See, what happened is once this pandemic set in, everyone wanted to have a benefit out of it, either from a point of view of gaining revenues, or some of them from the point of view of doing a social good work. For example, ITC, they have they have bought out Savlon hand sanitizers and all. And what they did was they built a perfume factory in Himachal Pradesh. PMRD is it's ITC brand. For them, they have built a perfume factory. So they repurposed the factory to a sanitizer factory to ensure delivery happens. So there are some companies which have done like that to ensure that we are catering to the people. Some of them have also gone into building ventilators, respirators, and all. So it's both from short-term profit motive as well as from a perspective of making money. See, once this pandemic set in, I have bought some weird named hand sanitizer for 100 rupees for a bottle, a small bottle, which was 50 rupees earlier, like Boy and Dettol. Now, what has happened once they address the supply chain and the issue, Lifeboy and Dettol have made that 50 rupees into 25 rupees. So all those brands which came into the market, and they did it not from the perspective of retaining the business, they did it from the perspective of delivering some value or giving back to the consumers. So now same bottle of sanitizer which was the Dettol or Lifeboy, which was 50 rupees earlier, the small packs are now available for 25 rupees over there. And people obviously have stopped all the bombies, and even they might, if they come into the market for the objective of profit making, they wouldn't be surviving. They would have closed down and moved.
Exactly. Yeah.
So no one. So this is. I think it answers your question. So those brands may not be surviving. If they come in the idea of servicing the customers or giving back to the society, they might have achieved their point. Yeah. If they come in the objective of gaining money, they would have lost out and moved out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So what? Yeah.
Sir, in neuro consumer research, do you involve doctors in the research process, sir?
Okay. See, there are two types of neuro research. One is normally most of the companies use something called single electrode. That is, you have seen EEG equipment and those things and all. Medical equipment has 65 nodes or something. So we keep 65 sets in the head. They'll apply a gel on the head. If someone medically, if you want to measure the brain waves in a medical scenario, we need a lot more intensive application. You have to keep them the proper node and those things. But technology has also simplified some of the electrodes to only single. There's only one in the front side of it. It's like an 8 set. For that, we don't need, these are all customized products which have been tested and given. So for that, we don't need a doctor. So going for a higher end evolved 16 electrode or a 32 or a 64 electrode headset, we may have a doctor at the point in time. Yeah. There are both. Nielsen has a neuro division which uses neuroscientists and those things with the venue and testing, which is a laboratory setup. So they have a proper laboratory. They'll put a gel on your head and then apply the electrodes because of the conductivity should be much sharper for them. But for a marketing research purpose, we can live with a lesser accuracy. We don't need accuracy of a medical diagnosis for market research purpose. So now a lot of companies use only single electrode, which is like an 8 set normal. Those headsets are also available for you for meditation purposes. You can use that to meditate better.
Okay, sir.
So we don't need technically we don't need for a simpler thing, but for a more in-depth and more evolved thing, we use a neuroscientist.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Coming to this part of the pandemic impact, but what brands have improved is strong brands have improved the brand measures. So they have come out very strong after the pandemic. And let us look at what they have done to achieve this during the pandemic over there. Coming to the supply side of it, so most of them resumed operation. Essential goods were continuing to operate, but non-essential, they started operating immediately with limited staff once the lockdown was open, with adequate facilities. They ensure that, for example, I told about ITC. ITC was running, they completely stopped the non-essential, that is tobacco actually, cigarettes and all, they stopped completely. They are focusing on the essential atta, noodles, sort of biscuits, and hand sanitizer. They were focusing. And so most companies, cement or textile, everyone started operation immediately to address the need of the consumers. That's the first step they took to address the supply side constraint. Second is they focused on essential items and repurposed factories to manufacture health and hygiene products. As I told earlier, ITC started manufacturing sanitizers from the perfume factory, repurposed it. Mahindra went into manufacturing ventilators. So they, because ventilators are costing around 5 to 10 lakhs, and Mahindra wanted to come out with 7,500. They manufactured, but I don't think it has hit market because the ventilators need was not needed in India as much as it was needed abroad. So they went into ventilators, and they even manufactured masks. Most of the apparel companies, from Wildcraft to Van Heusen, Louis Philippe, all started manufacturing masks. So people tried, big brands tried to help in other ways beyond the business also is one thing which happened. And they re-looked at the distribution channels and last mile delivery. One thing they were facing was distribution was hit because of the supply chain problem. So most of them moved online. For example, Amardanjan Paintball, they have a tie-up with Amazon now. So they have a dedicated page in Amazon.in for Amardanjan Paintball. Normally we buy it when you go to a pharmacist or when you're buying a monthly thing, but now they wanted to also have an online channel and they want to push it also. So they are tied up. So they are taken steps. People wanted, most of them wanted to go direct to home contactless payment. Some companies partnered with food delivery companies like Zomato or Domino's Pizza. For example, Grofers, ITC and all partnered with them to deliver the product to the last mile connectivity because shops are not open, people are not able to get the access to the product. So they tied up with Zomato and also gave employment to the Zomato people or pizza delivery people of Domino's. So they tied up with them and delivered. So they looked at innovative ways. So supply chain side constraint was addressed by being innovative. So they started thinking, how can I address this problem and be there for the consumers? What they did in this supply. So this is what strong brands did. Coming to the demand side constraints. So what they did was most of the thing was they launched new products. So there was, as someone asked me, the hand sanitizer part of this, there are around 3,000 new products in the health and hygiene segment. Was launched in last 8 months, 9 months. So there was so many launches, and there are also different SKU at affordable cost was launched to address this one. We may think people are buying smaller packs. SKU is stock keeping unit. What is a pack size? We'll have different pack size for everything. 200 grams package, 500 grams package. So they were launching different SKUs. We may think that people are buying smaller packs, but FMCG, people are actually buying larger packs because the frequency of going to the shop was going down. So larger packs are going up. So people are buying larger packs. So companies brought larger packs at affordable cost. Those things they manufacture. They reduce the price of essential products like the sanitizer and hand wash. Unilever reduced the price of them. So, and then they organize financing options for high ticket items and ease the payment terms. So most companies did this one. So buying a car or a durable. So there was payment options for eased out over there. For loans and credit cards, there was moratorium was provided to consumers to pay. Delayed payments was given. Insurance premium, people are given extension to pay later. So those things, the financing side of also taken care. And some of them offered free product services. Like Samsung gave mobile smartphones to people who in quarantine so that they can call relatives and talk to them. And even Lenovo gave laptops to students. So those things were done, and Samsung also gave air purifiers and those things to them. And they also, some of them gave subscription services to them. For example, Audible gave free audiobooks to kids. Baiju opened out this paid content to students at the point in time. Even Zogo Corp, which supplies to SMEs, they are that office software tools. They gave a 90 days free access to small and medium enterprises so that they can survive without any difficulty, not pay sort of thing. So limited period offers they were given to needy over there. And implemented lenient customer policies on date change, cancellation, waivers. This is particularly from the hospitality industry. So if you have booked a hotel or a travel flight tickets, people are allowed to change the date or cancel it, and waivers were given. MakeMyTrip did a lot of work on it. So they tried to refund most of the money to the customers. So by this way, they tried to also address the demand side. People are struggling to make money and they're trying to avoid it. So companies also help them in that. So by being empathetic, they understood the problems consumers are facing and tried to give back to them. So this is how they address by being empathetic and being there for the customer. Okay. And coming to the customer support side constraints, so what they did was most of the companies, insurance companies and those things, they deployed remote customer service teams. Normally, systems operate from a single call center, so they try to deploy remote depending upon the confidentiality of the data. Credit card sort of data are more confidential, so they didn't go on. But insurance sort of thing, they deployed remote customer teams and started operating over there. There was extension AMC, annual maintenance contracts, warranty, and free services. See, for normally, if you buy a new car, you have free service in the first 6 months or 3 months. So that 3 months, 6 months period was extended, especially in automotive sort of things and commercial vehicles, especially because commercial vehicles are the like the blood of a country because they only transport all the goods. So Tata and a lot of commercial vehicle companies provide a lot of benefit for the commercial vehicles. That is lorries and transporting operations over there. And some of them provided protective equipments and safety equipment to the service personnel to go and service the product. Even Asian Paints gave protective equipments to painters to go and operate and paint. And they also came out to the communication. If you may remember, a person will paint the house because this person is struggling, the painter is struggling. That sort of communication also they did, which is covered in the next section. But they gave protective equipments also. Many companies give a service to continue it. And most companies ensured availability of spares on time. So there was a case, one of my friend's father was in the Navy and his Motorola phone battery conked, which went off. So this person online wanted the battery replacement and they did it immediately during the pandemic. The battery was delivered in the hometown immediately with the aged parent. And this person was so elated and he was talking about it to everyone. So being responsive at the point in time, helping them and getting the spares on time, it's a huge thing. So that feel good what you get from it is huge. So that is one thing. And most of the automotive companies, what they did was there'll be limited spares. They can't because of the stoppage in the production and supply chain. So they did data mining to understand which area they micro segmented. So for example, if I sold sedan cars in particular in Chennai, for example, more number of sedan cars, and they need particular spare parts more because of the road condition, they prioritize based on that. By data mining and micro segmenting, they prioritize the spare parts what was available and delivered it to those areas. That sort of initiatives were taken to ensure that the spares reached in time. So the companies were very responsive to address the customer support consider. This is strong companies, strong brands who did this one. Okay. Coming to the communication and PR constraints, we saw that some of them went dark, didn't advertise at all. Some of them did wrong communication. So what did the strong brands do? What did they do differently? So what they did was they always reached out to the customers. They were there for the consumers, but the priority was not short-term sales. They looked at the long-term relationship. They were not there to sell the product. They were to sell that I am there, don't worry, and be visible for them to give the assurance. That's what the strong brands did over there. And they did a variety of communication. First one was they provided information on the pandemic. So awareness campaigns. You would have seen the Lifebuoy campaign, print and TV. Both of them saying that wash your hands with any soap. They didn't promote Lifebuoy. But use any soap and wash it to avoid coronavirus. That is what they told. And you might have seen also ads from Coca-Cola, STFC, Audi, everyone talking about social distancing. Even Fevicol talked about social distancing by changing the logo. They pulled out the logo and showed that maintain social distancing and they asked for that one. And they tried to help the customers also. We saw that they gave a lot of free services, extensions of warranties, and also price reduction by Unilever. Sort of. They also communicated to the customer saying, boss, I'm doing these things. Use this and take care of yourself. That's what they communicated to extend support to the consumers. And there are also companies which told that I am trying to minimize the risk. So use me sort of. For example, Domino's told that they are taking multiple steps to ensure that the pandemic is taken. Food delivery is safe. Zomato advertised that food delivery is safe and what steps they are taking. And even McDonald's did that one. We also saw, I think it's a GRB key ad, which told what are the steps they are TV ad, which told what are the steps they are taken inside the factory to ensure that employees are safe as well as the product are safe. So they also communicated the efforts what they are doing to ensure that they are minimizing the risk of the consumer. That support they extended over there. And then another thing was they also extended support to the community too. So, for example, I talked about Tata Motors and the commercial vehicles, trucks and lorries sort of thing. So they had a lot of social activities for drivers of things. They gave a lot of offers to them. Ola and Uber supported the car drivers a lot by mobilizing funds and things. And Coca-Cola and I think Vivo Mobiles had a campaign to thank the heroes of COVID, like doctors, nurses, and police. So the front-end warriors, what they are doing. So there are some hotels like Dodge, Marriott, Hilton, which gave free food to the front-end warriors and also stay for some of them. And so that sort of community efforts also came from them. And most of them donated to relief funds. And even TikTok, which was banned, donated to relief funds. So they supported in some way to the consumers and the community over there. And most of they also tried to nurture and comfort by having very pleasant communication, trying to, for example, Starbucks and Oyo had campaigns like share your memories of travel, share your memories of coffee and chat, sort of photograph sharing, Instagram sort of thing. Greenplay had a fitness challenge for 21 days during the pandemic. This sort of comforting and engaging for the consumer activities were done over there. And they also, in fact, did a lot of corporate social response, CSR activities, like the awareness campaigns, what we spoke earlier, fund relief funds. A lot of them collaborated with NGOs and reached the last mile to needy people. Immigrants, especially, a lot of immigrants were walking from areas to areas. A lot of corporates supported them and support to needy was provided. So these were the activities what a strong brand did to not only to communicate them that they are present, they also communicated to say that take care of yourself and we are there for you, and we're also supporting the community and help us in that one. That's a sort of communication what they did. And communication, they prioritized the channels. Like I said, print and FM channels, radio channels were going down. So TV and digital was the channels what they tried to communicate a lot. So that is how they prioritized this one. So once they did all these things, the final thing of new behavior initiative. So I have shifted the brand. Doesn't happen at all. So when all the constraints are addressed, so my supply chain is addressed, my demand side problem of my money issues sorted is addressed, helping me, I will not shift the brand. So my behavior change doesn't happen and my impact and consideration purchase will not happen. It's averted over there. So the availability of the brand at affordable price without compromising on the quality ensures the consumers are retained and brand messages are retained. So nothing else. So being relevant to the consumers is what they did to address this new behavior in Asia. And consumers in the survey told that they've always preferred a brand that has helped communities impacted by pandemic instead of a brand which didn't do anything during the pandemic point of view. This is about how they address strong brands address it. So when we look at this, strong brands, they were innovative, they were empathetic, and they were being responsive to the customers, and they are being visible to them. So they see, I'm there, I'm not going dark, I'm not leaving you over there. And they were also relevant. So these 5 steps are things what strong brands did during the pandemic over there. And if you remember last week, Dr. Satyanarayana's presentation, he spoke about the best global brands. The points are leadership, engagement, and relevance. If you look at the pointers over there and did this, so it overlaps a lot. So basically, what a brand should do in a normal time to a best brand and doing a pandemic or a emergency is the same thing. You should be a leader. You should innovate. You should be empathetic to the consumers. You should engage with them. You should be responsible and you should be visible. You shouldn't go dark during the day. And you should also participate in activities. And you should be relevant. So the basic crux of a brand being strong is always there. So if they practice what they do normal times during a pandemic and ensure that they are there for the customer. So being there for the customer is the only thing strong brands have to do. So that's it, the only mantra they should follow. That's what they did, and that's the reason they are strong brands. Any questions? And I'm open for discussions also.
Shiva, sometime or somewhere you said 65% of the consumers who have changed their consumer behavior, probably they may stick to the new behavior.
Actually, almost 90% have changed the behavior in some terms. At least one category they have changed the brand. Out of them, 65% told I may stick to the new behavior.
Exactly. So they may stick to the new behavior.
New behavior, yeah.
So naturally, it has become a cause of concern for all the people. Am I right? All the companies.
It is a huge concern because if I shift the brand, I find the new product. See, for example, inertia is a huge thing which prevents the customer from moving from a brand. See, for example, okay. When you're filling forms, for example, in abroad, certain countries, the rate of people donating organs is much higher, 70%, 80%. And some companies, it is much lower. That is just because of the tick mark what they do. So it is automatic tick mark for organ donation in certain countries. So people have to opt out of it. They have to go against that and change the inertia. So people always want to stay in default mode. So this, if once I shift to a new brand and experience a new brand, I find nothing wrong with the new brand. So it is good performing, and I shifted it to for reasons like value, brand purpose. They have lower cost for me and better value, same value. I'm getting the same product values for a lower price, and they ensure that they are on the shelf. They are there for me during the brand purpose has been addressed. So these are the reasons I shifted to them, and I'm happy with them. I am not decided for a new product. If the product doesn't deliver, then I will shift back to my original product. If they deliver it, then people won't shift back. So that inertia is a key thing brand has to keep in mind. Moving out of the brand is difficult. Similarly, if they go out and stuck to someone, coming back is also difficult.
Oh God. Okay. So even loyalty has become questionable now because of COVID.
Loyalty. There's been a lot of challenge loyalty during the coronavirus because see, normally if I'm loyal, I won't change the brand. And unfortunately, in this, I am forced to change the brand.
Okay. Right. To put it in a macro perspective, some of the regional brands probably they have gained more traction during the COVID period.
Okay.
Maybe because of their proximity, maybe because they are able to reach the shelves of the market. Okay. So in terms of accessibility, in terms of affordability, in so many factors, they have gained an edge over the national brands. Okay. Now, going by your own point of view, like 65% of the people, they may stick to the new behavior. So do you mean to say the regional brands may be having an upper hand in the days to come?
True. Actually, one of the trends what has been observed across the globe is going local.
Yeah.
So India local can be defined as domestic India as well as regional. So we have a tendency to go to people who are locally present during this sort of pandemic times. This is observed across multiple countries. So this regional brands gaining is one of it, and also she said they are closer. Their supply chain is much shorter. They need not transport longer distance for them. They're able to eat the shelf, and if they maintain the quality and they follow these steps, if they communicate, keep on communicating, if they keep on delivering product, being there for the consumer, they will not lose this share. They have to become like a strong brand now. But one of the data from Kantar FMCG is brands which have more than 50% share penetration in the market have gained actually. Smaller brands have lost out. FMCG. Smaller brands, because most of, for example, some of them, the supply chain totally eat. South brands are smaller size compared to Unilever or P&G. So we are transporting it. So if they focus locally, they can gain from the local aspect of it.
Okay. Before you joined us, of course, myself and Shriman, we were discussing, Sriraman we were discussing, and of course he is in Ooty right now, and he says, I mean, lot of lot of visitors, I mean, okay, lot of people they have started traveling, I mean. So in fact, we were using a terminology called pent-up demand. I mean, so once the lockdown is once the unlock has started happening, people have started moving. Okay, so do you see any pent-up demand because you have been experiencing something in the market?
Okay, so what we observe is people were scared a lot initially, so they maintained all social distancing properly, everything. Once the unlock happened, so the fear has reduced a lot. So the perception, mentally they think it is gone, but actually it's out there, still out there, and it is mutating. It's more scary now.
True.
Its mindset has changed that it's gone. Government has unlocked, and government is very hesitant to put down a lockdown again because it is impacted the economic conditions, financial stability, a lot of people, and also a lot of institutions. So they are also slightly hesitant to do it again. So this relaxation of mind, and you as said, pent up. See, I have not traveled in the last 1 year technically.
Yes.
So I want to go out, see people, eat outside. I'm seeing people eating out a lot nowadays. So it's coming up. And it's also being enticed by the company. So hotels give a lot of offers nowadays to ensure the people walking. So once I experience that one, that fear goes off, that inertia thing. So now I am scared to eat outside. Once I start, go out, eat once, then I am okay. Nothing happened to me. I continue eating. This is how Zomato or some Zomato Swiggy started. So they was like combining us with that to make us one buy. Once we do that one buy, you are experienced it and you're comfortable. You will continue to buy that one. This is that inertia, if you cause it, it's open now.
Yeah. Right. Students, session is open now.
Lokeshwaran, sir.
Yeah, Lokesh.
Sir, there is any different kind of methods followed when they conduct a research for a high involvement product category or low involvement product category, sir?
See, I know the impulse and the I involved. Yeah, there'll be differentiation questionnaire and the target group, for example. There'll be difference in questioning way and methodologies. Yes, and target group will be different for each one of them. And you evaluate, see, for example, the imagery, for example, I'll focus more for the high-end products because I have to have a better perception. Then only I will make impulses. I have to make attractive packaging. My focus areas are different. I should position myself in the shop shelf where you will pick me up faster. For example, most of them place some impulse items in the billing counter for the kids, or even we sometimes we give kids and pick it up. So those strategies, the impulse category has to follow. So it's marketing is different. Even market research approach and target group approach is different. Yeah.
Sir, how it affect the respondents, sir? Because as you said, the people may not communicate as much as possible. The high involvement category has more kind of perception, as you said. The low involvement category have less perception among the consumers.
See, for example, people basically tell the behavior is black and white. Whether I buy the product, not buy the product, there is no confusion. But why I buy the product is the confusion area that people may not know why they bought a product, and it is more so in an impulse category. For high involvement, high investment product, what we do is we see there is two types of thinking: system one and system two. I'm not sure I heard about this concept. System one is implicit thinking, which is happens subconsciously. This is just a concept. It doesn't happen neurologically. It's a concept. System one happens fast, subconscious, and it is driven by your basic primitive coding of your brain. And system two is a rational thought. You process everything, think, you slowly take decision. So most of a decision in a day-to-day life we take using system one. We don't even know what we're taking the decision. But rationally, when you think and evaluate, for example, if I ask you 2 into 2, you'll spontaneously say 4 without even thinking twice. Whereas if I ask you 17 into 34, you will think for some time. So that is system 2. So for impulse product, system 1 acts better. That is where we use a lot of social psychology and behavioral economics to people to buy those products. Whereas for high-end, high investment products, system 2 is used. They make it a rational decision. If I'm buying a car, I may have certain biases and unconscious decision based on color of the car, shape of the car, and those things. But mostly I'll be driven by mileage in India, for example, or the price of the car, discounts I am getting. I evaluate a lot. So system 2 has a role in that one. So both are different.
Thank you, sir.
Did I answer your question correctly? I think I went away somewhere.
Yes.
So can you repeat the question? I'll try to answer it because I caught at something and this is a system on system are very close to my heart.
Sir, I have how the respondent will be affected.
Okay, respondent, for example, respondent answer to the impulse, he may say what he bought last time, but if he says what his intention to buy may vary depending upon the impulse at the particular store. So I will trust the data of for impulse category, data from a respondent on past purchase and is valid, but future purchase is debatable still. But for a high end, is consideration set what I consider, what are the brands you consider to buy in future is more stronger because you evaluated the options and you have shortlisted the consideration set for high end. So consumer response to impulse is much, you should be in the top of mind. Brand awareness is critical over there, behavior is critical, but future will depend upon lot of factors which is beyond the control of research. The marketing comes into play over there. So respondent answer for impulse we should take with consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, how authenticated or star ratings when we decide to visit a place or film reviews?
Okay, this is called social proof. So you get a proof from the society that this is valid. You were talking about Amazon or a hotel rating or rating in a Swiggy or Zomato. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a collective effort. So there are certain companies who do it and boost the service, but beyond a point, the social people who buy it takes care. So most of them are valid to us. It's not a part of consumer survey. This is more a psychological phenomena where we go with products which are bought by many people and which have been assured saying 4 rating or 5 rating. We are more confident on buying this product. There are certain companies which exploit it, but broadly it is correct. We can follow that one.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, we have been noticing that there has been a change in people's attitude. That nowadays they're preferring bigger cars and SUVs. So, why do you think there is a change in behavior of people towards this? There's a shift. So, what is the reason behind it?
First thing is the affordability part of it, and we have been, as a country, our incomes have been going up. I was part of a study which we did for pricing and the product testing. We call it auto cleaning for Renault Duster. So when Duster came into India, so I did the product testing for them and pricing study also. It was a compact SUV. So at the point in time, sedans were there, and then SUVs are much expensive. So Renault Duster came into an area which was in between the compact SUV, which is priced lower and also delivers the features and aspirations of SUV. So like that, a lot of cars are addressing it in a much better price, and also our income rates have gone up. So people are buying it because of those reasons. Both our income going up and also prices of the cars coming down affordable to us because of that.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sir, I have a question that why the reason why Nissan got failed in India, sir, as the Renault and Nissan have an agreement, so they produce the same engine in their vehicles. But what is the main reason why Nissan got failed?
Okay. See, Renault and Nissan have a lot of similar platforms, as you said. Even Nissan also had a similar platform with Ashok Leyland also. Ashok Leyland, those
Yes, sir.
and Nissan Evalia were same. Okay, we tested that also, unfortunately. Okay. See, when you're in a market, you should position it carefully and you should understand the market nuances. Somewhere, Duster was positioned in a place where it was first to the same platform introduced by Nissan was much later. And Duster was in a place which came earlier. Early bird advantage was one thing, and they also clicked among the respondents from the positioning as a different vehicle. The communications were bang on. So Nissan had missed that both, but that's what I feel. The communication, they were not able to get it in the right place, and they missed it. And even those also, the Evalia platform also, they missed it the part also in communicating. Because Ashok was priced much lower, same platform, much lower pricing for Ashok Leyland. Whereas Nissan was much premium sort of thing just for the badge. Yes. Obviously, people didn't buy.
Sir, another question, sir. Recently, Nissan has launched a model called Magnet.
Okay.
Magnet. So, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce, but the reach for this car was within 1 month they got a booking nearly to 20,000.
Okay.
The showrooms available in Tamil Nadu or southern part, it is very, very, very less, sir, because in Coimbatore also they do not have a showroom. So how they face the challenges for supplying the?
Okay. See, this normally happens for a brand when they enter a country. For example, Renault also had a similar problem. When they launched the first 2 years, the sales are very minuscule. And to launch a dealership, most of the dealership are franchisee sort of thing. Someone invests the money and starts a franchisee. Only if there's a fast moving and the lot of hotcakes sort of selling car is there, people would invest and buy that dealership over there. Renault had an advantage from Duster, so it was one of the fastest moving. So they scaled up very fast in dealership network across the country. So we used to do the CSAT for them, customer satisfaction, and we used to get very minimal numbers in the first 2 years. Once Renault Duster was launched, this has a rub off. So people are waiting. They come to the showroom to buy Renault Duster, and it's in a waiting time. So they have to wait for 6 months to 8 months for the delivery of the vehicle. So they also started looking at other cars in the showroom. So there are also cross-selling. So there is a rubber for the other brands also. So selling improved in that way. So Nissan is yet to hit a brand which sells like hotcakes, like a Duster or EcoSports for Ford. So they have to still get that sweet spot. Once they get it, then dealership and a dealer will be interested in investing in dealership for Nissan across everywhere, and the supply chain will be taken care of. Till that point in time, they deliver a great, they hit a 6, no one will invest on that. And Renault Nissan has the same R&D unit, technically. There's a separate R&D, BCA they call it. It's a separate unit. The R&Ds are basically similar. Products are basically similar, except for badge and overall thing. But still, how you communicate to the customer and how you position it is the thing what will differentiate a strong brand from. Even Renault was a failure when they came with Mahindra. Technically, Mahindra Logan earlier was a Renault brand. So Renault was a failure at this point in time. Sometimes they eat and sometimes they don't eat.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
And my question is there any product is still affected by COVID lockdown, sir?
Still a lot of categories, travel categories still picking up. So there are a lot of products. Some of them have lost a lot of employees, cut down, scaled down operations. Hospitality industry sort of thing have been affected. There are still brands which have been affected over. And as I said, a brand with higher penetration has gained a lot during the COVID because of the strong backing and the deep pockets they have. Smaller brands didn't have deep pockets. They've lost the customers. As I said, the inertia has gone to the other side. So those people to gain the inertia will take time for them, or they may not even gain. So there's a lot of brands which have been affected, even a category which is performing well.
Are any examples, sir? Main product?
See, these would not be a main product. For example, hand wash or a detergent sort of thing. For example, let's take detergent. For example, the swift and speed in which P&G and Unilever would have implemented and brought the products on shelf would have much lower than our Urvasi or Ponvandu sort of thing. Ponvandu and Urvasi may have brought it back in Tamil Nadu, but they'll have markets in Kerala or Karnataka which they may not even touched again. So there they would have lost out to Sunlight and other Unilever brands over there. So those things could have.
Okay,
so they might have brought out the supply chain up in Tamil Nadu, which they have better control, for example. This is not only for even larger brands like Amrita and all. They have very strong supply chain network in South. But whereas in North and West and all, they are very weak in the supply chain. Zandu dominates that technically. So the supply chain would have been impacted much over there, and the person who was been buying Amrita could have also shifted to Zandu. And to bring him back, it will take time because a bottle will last for 1 month, for example. So it will take time for them to bring it back. So a lot of brands would have been affected because of the supply chain, because they're not there for the consumer, and the consumer has shifted to another brand. So it happened, and predominantly smaller penetration brand in different categories. Though they may be strong in South, they may be weaker in North area. Similarly, Kevin Care is much stronger in South, very weak in North. So those brands would have been affected in the other area.
Okay, sir.
Sir, Honda as a brand, it's very good, well positioned among consumers.
Okay.
They came with the Civic, they went, and again now they relaunched Civic. I think definitely they must have done it with some kind of research only. But I think now once again they're calling it back. So
okay, calling back is mostly technical issues. What they face is the vehicle. Which that R&D is the technical R&D. And do you know which is the car which has most callbacks or most changes? So Honda City. Honda City is the most in the history of Honda City. And actually, it's a good sign. So whatever issues is there is corrected.
Okay.
And a brand calling back is the sign of the maturity to ensure that even if I'm wrong, I'm willing to correct it. So that is also a good vibe among the consumer. Honda City is it's the car with the most number of recalls or changes in the car in the history of automotive.
Yes, I remember Honda has the most callback, and after that we could see even at times Maruti just started following that at some point of time.
But Siva, I am given to understand this product recalling, especially in automobile industry. It is so common in Western countries. Is it so? Because only in India we keep talking about it. At least we are talking about it. Okay, but in Western countries it has become so common.
Regulations are much stronger. Regulations and the implications of not adhering to the regulation are much stronger in Western countries. So Volkswagen had an emission issue. The implications of Volkswagen was much higher than if they are in India.
That's
that enforcement of the law and awareness of people over there, and for them, car is like a bike over there in India. So they are much invested in it, and the involvement, and the countries take it very serious to implement emission laws or quality norms. Most of the cars have all the ABS airbags. In our country, airbag is a premium facility. You get it not in the economy version.
That
is the problem.
Even making this dual airbag compulsory has become a talk of. It's become a discussion point now. Shiva, there is a recent news or controversy about TRP getting manipulated. And especially consumer research companies like Kantar, etc. They are totally depending on the data which they do get from the consumer panels. Am I right? And I'm also given to understand these consumers who have become a part of the consumer panel, they are also getting incentivized because they reveal the data. They divulge the data, they reveal the data. If that be the case, it can be easily manipulated. Am I right?
See, what happens is Nielsen has a retail panel.
Right.
So they have, and that is one thing, and they sample more than the required numbers actually. And no one knows which of they are going to take into the consideration. It's one of the things what to do. Similarly, consumer panel was with IMRP, which is now Kantar. So they are consumer panels. Manipulation in the consumer panel or retail panel much lower compared to, because that is, for example, if I say I'm a brand leader, I have to spend more in manipulating that data of FMCG goods than selling my product. So manipulation much lower in consumer panels and retail because it doesn't help the brand to do the manipulation. Whereas TRP is a totally different ballgame because it's huge money restaurant. And TRP used to be with Nielsen earlier. Nielsen had a division separate. It's not, I now work with TAM. It's called TAM at that point in time. Television audience measurement. I'm not talking, but it used to be the same office, so I'm aware of what. See, the sample is much smaller compared considering the size of the user. This is one thing. So I think not more than 2,000 will be the panel size across India besides this one. And it's easy to manipulate in that. So and it's a secret list. No one knows. Even the researcher who works on the study, or for example, it will be centralized research units for those things. Retail audit or a consumer panel. Retail audit panel sits, research unit sits in Baroda for Nielsen. That's a centralized unit for. In local markets, only the salesperson sits there. So who meets the, it's called client servicing. So go and sell the data to the client and service the client sits in a local market over there. Similarly, TAM also. And Chennai, the person who sits is the sales service executive, service manager. So he will not know who they are being surveyed. He only will go and meet Sun TV or Jaya TV, but he will not know who is being on the panel. So it's else secretive. But unfortunately, it happens. And the stakes are much larger in the TRP system.
Exactly.
And see, research for the purpose of research is what is used to be. So we to understand challenges, questions. That's a basic research. There's two things of researchers. Other thing is numbers. So obviously, it's a company, so we have to go behind numbers. So sometimes people give into the temptation. See, when I say Nielsen, there'll be lots of queries asking me, "Can you give me #1 rating?" So a lot of companies will come from Tamil Nadu, and those are Nielsen is also a famous brand name at the point in time. Market research. So they'll come and ask me, "Can you rate me #1?" They'll give a brief, and once we start working on the brief, they say, "I have to be given #1." Which doesn't help. So we tell them, if you are #1, we'll tell you #1. If you're not #1, we'll tell you not #1. So I work with a radio channel. It's a top radio channel, and so we are presenting to CU the data findings of the study. So the numbers were falling in Bombay. It's a south-based one, and it's a huge one. And so numbers are falling in the north and west zones and all. So CU asked the brand head, marketing head, why it is so on. He said, no, we are #1 among SCCA 18 to 45 years, the cuts and all. I am #1. Are you #1 or not? That is what I'm interested in. So that's how big, strong brands operate. I mean, delivering to everyone. If you cut the data, slice the data, if you torture data as much as you want, it will tell you what you want. That is not an objective. So that is if you do it really for the purpose of developing the brand, it's a tool. Any tool can be used. It's like knife. I can use it to cut vegetables and make a brilliant soup, and I can use it for a wrong purpose also.
True.
And there are a lot of the political polls someone asked. There have been a lot of things like most of my polls were not published. It was for internal consumption of parties and those. None of my political, only one was the exit poll in Kerala, which was published. Other internal consumption of political parties. When a published poll comes, it influences the consumers or voters' mindset. So people try to manipulate it. There have been sting operations happening, and people have been caught saying that I can manipulate data. So it happens. There are good and bad people everywhere, but how we use it is the integrity of the person always plays a role.
Yeah.
Students, if you have any more questions, you please come in. You can unmute yourself. Sir, I have one question, sir. Sir, of late you
please call me Siva.
Okay, Shiva.
I would love students also to call me Shiva. It's not a problem. Corporate work. See, I used to start my career in Chennai, and the SAR culture happens in Chennai. This was a huge my mental block for us. When I moved to Bombay, the office boy used to call the GM by name. It was a shock for me, and it took time for me to readjust to that culture. And corporate doesn't. SAR culture is Chennai is ரொம்ப strong actually. Chennai is very strong in SAR culture, and if I don't call even my colleagues are, they'll take offense. But, and I think the MBA students as MBA, they'll be in corporate world. So they should equip themselves to call others as by name. If respect, at least me, not the professors and those things, at least people like me who come in corporate world.
Sure, Shiva. The question is, see, of late we see these saloons are getting modernized. Is it because there is a change in consumer behavior, or is that the category itself is undergoing that change toward the luxury segment?
See, as I said earlier, affordability is a huge thing which plays in the disposable income is much. There are certain surveys. The disparity in income is the first thing what you should look at. In a company, the difference between a last employee and the CEO is much huge now. The disposable income among the affluent segment is going up a lot. It's increasing drastically. So we have affluence, so we tend to enjoy it. So the disposable income is a key reason. And of course, any industry, saloons have been improved and technically superior for long in abroad and Western countries. People have experienced that and they want it here. That affluence and disposable income are the key things for changes in the luxury products in India. I need to indulge myself. That is one. I put in so much of work. I spend a lot of efforts. I don't have family time. I work for 18 hours a day sometimes. So let me indulge myself with the money I'm getting. It's a mindset. That's the reason for abroad travel, sort of abroad travels happening, luxury hotels coming up, and those things.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shiva. Indeed, it was a wonderful session. What we had, very enriching. No more questions are there. So now let me call upon.
1 minute. I just have one point to share with the students. I'll just do that one. Sorry.
Yeah, Shiva, please.
Okay. This is what I want to tell. Education is not the learning of facts, but training the mind to see what we should look at. This is also what Dr. Satyanarayana told on today. We should managers have to think. So I can provide data and points, but you should go beyond that and think and search and enrich yourself. So read a lot is one thing what I want to tell you. Always be curious. Take something and pay interest and learn more about it. Don't worry about making mistakes. All of us make mistakes. A person who doesn't make any mistakes is a person who doesn't do anything. And have fun in the process. Learn to think is one thing what I want to tell everyone. So that is what MBA is. We are not, whatever you study here, almost not even 1/10 of it will be applied in the corporate world. But the way of you thinking, of you exploring things, learning things outside your scope is what works in the corporate world. So open your mind, start to think. Thank you.
Excellent message, Shiva, to end with.
And happy New Year. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a formal vote of thanks from one of my students. Yeah.
I'll call upon Akhileshwar, first MBA, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. I am Akhilesh. I am here to present vote of thanks. It's my pleasure to thank our speaker, Mr. Sivakumar Somanathan, for giving us an enriching and informative session. Thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time with us. I would like to thank our beloved director, Dr. AGV Narayanan, Chief Executive Captain Sendil Kumar, and all faculty members for their continuous encouragement. I would also thank students of DJAME and all other participants for making this event success, a grand success. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening.
Shiva, once again, thank you very much. One of the most interesting and exciting sessions we have come across in the recent past. Thank you, Shiva. And my humble request: please start writing your book. You have rich experience, and it has to go on record. So naturally, 3 years, 4 years down the line, that should become one of the textbooks or prescribed books in all the business schools.
Thank you, sir.